Okay. Okay, so today we're going to be discussing the concept of love, the importance of having a good relationship. So let's discuss a little about the concept of relationships. The key to a successful relationship, the key to having a successful relationship is to be fully present to your spouse or your friend. If there's distractions, that if there's any type of distractions, that could destroy a relationship. If you're not fully into it with the person you're with, but you're thinking about someone else or something else, then there's not enough room left in your heart for the person you're speaking to. Therefore, if you're still thinking about a previous relationship, many times the new relationship won't work because your heart is filled with feelings of your previous relationship. You might have misery, you might have regret. Your heart is filled with your previous relationship. You cannot have this, you cannot have one love and the same love to two different people. It's impossible. It will not work. It's impossible to share love with two people. Sometimes we're speaking to someone and we're actually not fully involved. We're actually on a smartphone. We're busy doing other things. Whether you're on a smartphone, whether you're looking somewhere else, whatever you may be doing, you're not fully involved in the moment. You're distracted. Now, a big important thing in relationships is that you want to feel good that you're the center of attention of the other person. But when you have a different attention and you try to fix your attention, so you take out your smartphone and you start looking at your phone. You have an emotional need for a spouse. But when you're sitting with your spouse and you're looking at your phone, it's not only not nice, but you're replacing the relationship that you need with a phone. Of course, you love your spouse, but you don't need them like you did before, because your need for relationship has become less because you're busy filling it by your smartphone. Let's look what the Torah says about relationships and also the relationships between us and God, us and Hashem. Let's speak about the first relationship between us and God. That is the formal ceremony when we started a committed relationship. It was the marriage between us and God. This ceremony in Judaism, we're all familiar with, it's called a wedding. We all got married to God when we received the Torah. Before we received the Torah, if you met a woman in the street and you liked her and you fell in love with her, the way you would be considered married is you would bring her into your house and sleep with her, and that was your marriage. There was no money needed for a ceremony of her wedding. There was no drama preparing for a wedding. There was no changing of the dates. There was no making up your mind what to do, when to do, how to do, what to serve, and so on and so forth. All you did is brought her into your house, and you were considered married. But when God gave the Torah to the Jewish people, he commanded us that if you want to get married, you need 2 witnesses watching the ceremony. The Torah says in our Torah portion, in this week's Torah portion, that when a man takes a woman, he betroths a woman. The Talmud explains that you could acquire a woman in 1 out of 3 ways. You give her money, or the value of money, like today we translate that into a ring. Number 2, through having intimacy. Number 3, through a marriage contract, which is actually not the ketubah, but it's a special contract that we do in order to get married. We sign on a piece of paper that I am married to so-and-so. That's the marriage contract. Now, the Torah teaches us. The Torah actually teaches us these 3 things in today's Torah portion, in this week's Torah portion. Now, the concept of money would be giving her a ring, giving her money, and so on and so forth. And then number 2 would be intimacy. And just like a divorce needs a marriage contract, so too marriage needs a contract, an actual physical contract. Now, by the way, in today's Judaism, the main part of the marriage is giving the money. That's why the moment you give her the ring, you're considered married. That moment, everybody says Mazel Tov when you put the ring on her finger. Now, it cannot be only through intimacy because it's inappropriate. The Torah doesn't like it. And the Torah emphasizes that there must be the concept of money involved to make it happen. But because the first words that the Torah uses is ki yikach, when you acquire. Now, what's the proper way of acquiring something? If you want to acquire a house, what do? In order to acquire a home, you must pay money. You want to acquire a container of milk, you pay money. So in order to be married, you must have money transaction. Now, we know there's nothing random when it comes to this concept of the money. In the Torah, everything is exact. So let's try to understand, what does this concept of money come in here when it comes to the idea of marriage? And why do we need this whole ceremony? Why don't you privately meet your spouse, give her a ring, give her some money, and get married? Why do you need the whole ceremony and the whole concept? What's the purpose for all this? What was wrong the way they used to do it? Take the woman to your house and sleep with her, and you're married. What does the wedding do that creates a mutual agreement? And what do we learn from this when it comes to our marriage with God? So in order to understand the significance of marriage through money, we have to understand all 3 concepts. The most spiritual relationship is the relationship between us and God. King Solomon said, the crown that his mother put on his head, the day of his wedding and the day of his happiness. Rashi explains he's not referring to the crown that his mother put on his head. He's referring to the day that God married us, the day we received the Torah. Then when he says the day of his happiness, he's talking about the inauguration of the 8 days of the Mishkan of the Tabernacle. This shows on the relationship. This shows on a very strong relationship that we have between us and God at the receiving of the Torah. Now, the key to all this will be understood from the word kesef. Kesef means yearning. Kesef refers to money, which is to yearn, to connect. The three ideas of the wedding that we discussed before, it reflects three phases of the relationship between us and God. Our relationship with God is through these three things. Number one, in your youth, you're more idealistic. We have more time. We go to school, we study Torah, we pray more. We have a lot more free time in our hands. We love God. Then, as we get older and we're consumed with family and work, then our relationship with God starts tempering. But we're still alive. Our love to God is still alive. Then when we get older, is a much more intimate level. As you get older, as you've lived up so many years of your life, it's more of an intimate connection with God, which is the idea of marriage, which is the idea of intimacy. So, money comes out. It's the most important part of the wedding, of acquiring the wife and the wife acquiring the man. The yearning of love is the best fuel you could have for a relationship between us and God. When you have your yearning of love, then it's a strong connection. You could overcome all limitations, and it goes till your strongest capacity and even more, and you can reach things beyond the norm. This is the foundation of every relationship, is love. Caring about your spouse, caring about each other. When bride and groom get married, it's a metaphor of the relationship between us and God. And therefore it's done through kesef, which is the idea of yearning. Love for each other is similar to the love of God to the Jewish people. When you think about marriage, it's framed by love. I love you. I want to be married to you. I commit to be with you for the rest of my life. But there's something legal that takes place here that some of us might not pay attention to. And this is as follows. Through marriage, you become forbidden on everyone else. The man is forbidden to any other women, and the woman becomes forbidden on any other man. When you see a bride and groom marching down the aisle, you almost have goosebumps from that beautiful moment that's taking place. You see their eyes glowing with joy. They both belong to each other. She becomes forbidden on billions of other people, and he becomes forbidden on billions of other people as well. Obviously, the canopy is not like a prison that I belong to you and you only belong to me, but it's actually strengthening the relationship between them. I belong to you and only you. You belong to me and only me. Only under those conditions can you and I become married. This is what the chuppah and the ceremony is all about. We are strengthening our marriage to our spouse. We're not thinking about the restrictions of this process. Marriage is like a circle. If it's not a closed circle, and if the circle is not closed, then it's not a proper circle. In order for it to be a circle, it must be complete. When we're under the chuppah, two things happen. Number one, commitment to the next person. Number two, you're closing away from others. Not in having friends, not in having coworkers. Of course, you're connecting with others even after you're married. But it's a commitment that my love is being shared with this person and this person only. And the idea of receiving a ring is two separate legal concepts are happening right then and there. Number one, you're saying, I belong to you. Do you want to belong to me? This is the whole ceremony. This is the center of what's happening right now. When she receives the ring, she's receiving the commitment, and so is he. They are not allowing anyone in their circle. Something exclusive. The exclusive element is the contract of two things. He opens the door that she should enter, and she closes the door to not allow anyone else in. This is the most romantic part of the wedding. The act that bonds each to the other. Her act of making everyone else forbidden through this wedding she did that. He does not have to make everyone else forbidden on them because she did it. He accepts her. They bring each other in together with each other, as we're going to explain in a moment what this means. They stop being individuals. Now it's we. Now they're together. Of course, even in a marriage, you each have different lives, so to speak. Each one has their desires, possibly. Each one has their co-workers. But we're talking about as far as an intimate, loving connection. So marriage is not only the marriage between husband and wife, but it sets the tone of the marriage between us and God. The key to a successful marriage is not only loving, but committing one to another and exclude everyone else. Marriage is a permanent circle, a closed circle. The more private the circle is, the better the marriage will be. You cannot be happy with each other if others are welcomed. What we mean welcomed is, of course, you welcome people into your home. That's a big mitzvah. Welcome means as follows. You don't share with others your personal marriage. You don't share it with friends or with your parents. If you break the circle, you break the marriage. If you need to speak to someone, then you speak together, whether it's a marriage counselor, whether it's a rabbi, whatever it is, you discuss it privately under certain circumstances. You don't want to just show everyone your dirty laundry. It's not nice. You're definitely not going to share with anyone about your intimacy. It's not like a relationship between two friends. That's different. Here it's very intimate and very personal. And when you share it with others, you're leaving the private space. It's almost godly-like, and it's inappropriate to allow others into that space. If you keep the privacy and you keep the circle, it's success to a good marriage. It's not only that one belongs to the other, but you're also excluding others. Therefore, we understand why it's so important that there should be the concept of money involved in this, because it comes from the word kesef, which is yearning, connection. Even if intimacy would be the only way of the marriage, that still wouldn't be a complete marriage. There has to be the complete yearning and caring for each other. Without marriage, they might say that they're giving something exclusive one to the other, but it's not truthful. They could easily decide to leave one another without doing any concrete steps, because it was never a concrete marriage. Now we understand that what a better marriage is. But how does it make us better Jews? Our sages say that the relationship between us and God is like the relationship between husband and wife. What's so critical about exclusivity is you could only have one absolute love at one time. You cannot love two things with your entire heart. It won't work. If two things share your entire heart, neither has your entire heart. It's very hard. It's even when it comes to a job. You can't fully put yourself into two different jobs, which each are complicated. And this is why the rabbi stopped allowing one man to marry more than one wife, because it was impossible to share your heart with two women. And if you are, you're not sharing it with anyone. So if you share your love with someone else, you're not sharing your love with your spouse. And it's not absolute. Now, this concept is very powerful. And it's the same thing when it comes to our relationships with God. Elijah, we know the famous Elijah, when it came to the Har Carmel, he told the people, how much longer will you be dancing on two sides? He told them, look, either you believe in one God or you believe in the idols. You can't believe in one God and believe in idols. It won't work. You cannot have both. You can't bow to idols and bow to God. It doesn't work. Today, we don't bow to physical idols, but today it's fame, physical pleasures. How many people like me on Facebook? How many friends do I have on Facebook? How many likes did I get on Instagram? You know, this is a type of idol worship. It's in a way it's not much worse than idol worshiping. You could only have space in your heart for one thing. It's either God or physical pleasures. All your physical pleasures are good. It's appropriate, but it's all, how is it going to help me serve God better? You can't serve God and serve the world. And if you serve the world, you can't serve God. You wake up one morning and you decide you want to be serious about serving God. You don't want that your mood should be based on what's going on in the market. You don't want that your mind should be filled and consumed with the strength and the weaknesses of your sport fans. You don't want that your feelings should be ruled by your likes on Facebook. You want to wake up in the morning and you want to think only about God. And you want that before you go to sleep, you should go to sleep with your heart filled with love to God. But how do you do this? Do we start with doing good things? Do we start with praying? Do we start with studying? Do we slowly wean away from physical pleasures, which consume our entire heart? I need another house. I need another car. How do I start? Where do we begin? Well, this is like your marriage with your spouse. First, you have to remove from others from your physical pleasures and engage so much in the physical. If you still have a love to another woman, you won't be able to have a proper marriage. If you still have a love to the physical pleasures, you will not be able to have a complete connection with God. Just like by marriage, you must divorce others. So too when it comes to God. But when it comes to God, sometimes God has mercy on us. And he tells us, if you're engaged with physical pleasures and you're still engaged with the world, I'm okay with it for now. Just connect with me. God loves us so much unconditionally. Therefore, he allows this approach. Start getting closer to me, and you will little by little be able to wean away from all your too much physicality. Because if you try spending all your time divorcing from all the physical pleasures, it's going to take a long time. It might not last. It might not stay. So the point we're saying is, one must little by little work on this aspect. Although you have not yet disengaged yourself from the physical, but the more you engage in your love to God, stronger and stronger connection. You will little by little divorce more and more from the physical. And this comes through just do it. You're not in the mood of praying, just pray. You're not in the mood of studying, just study. You're not in the mood of giving charity, well, give charity. Through this, you will have a true relationship with God. We began the class with the importantness of avoiding distractions in our relationships. It could be others, or it could be your smartphone, which takes away your attention. We asked if the Torah has an opinion on this. We asked if the Torah has advice on this. But according to the above, we understand. It's not all of these gadgets and the other people are not distractions of your relationship, but it's a total breakdown of your relationship. There's only one place to love in your heart. You could only love one person in your heart, and not to others and not to other things. If your circle is opened, it's not only open for others to come in, but it breaks your personal unity. In order to have a good marriage, the circle must be closed. Then and only then do you get married. If you open the circle by mistake or on purpose, you have to work on closing it. You have to realize your mistake and fix it and reclose it. And then you will be happy and you will have a loving relationship. And the same thing is when it comes between us and God. Sometimes we do things that God doesn't want, by mistake or on purpose. But when we enhance in our connection, we strengthen our connection with God, then we are able to close that circle. And then when the circle is closed, our relationship with God is extremely strong and powerful. So next time you feel you want to connect with God, don't worry about the physical pleasures that you're involved in. Just strengthen your connection with God, and automatically all your physical pleasures will slowly wean away because you won't really be interested in them anymore. You will have one focus and one focus only. And the same thing applies when it comes to our relationship with our spouse, and the same thing with others. We must stay focused, and if you focus and listen and pay attention to others, then you will have a good relationship in your marriage and a good relationship when it comes to friends and so on and so forth. Any questions?
Hi, Rabbi. This is way off topic, but when the Moshiach comes, and if there's like reincarnation of souls, and that soul had many relationships or husbands and wives, what happens in what would be the thing then? Do you reunite with your past spouses?
Well, the thing is, when the Mashiach comes, according to some of the explanations, you will be able to choose who you want to be with. That's what it says. So like if somebody was married to 2 wives and then they died and then he married a 3rd wife, when the Mashiach come and all the resurrection of the dead, you get to choose your wife. That's one explanation. Another explanation is that, each soul has many parts to it. So you'll be told which soul belongs to you and which one you're supposed to be marrying. So it's either you decide or someone's going to tell you what to do.
That could be complicated.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It's many discussions about the whole concept of Mashiach and the dead come up and how they come up and what's all the details and how long is it going to last for. And so we hope we have Mashiach very fast, speedily. Okay, everyone. Have a great evening. It's great to see you all. And I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.